I'm going to allow this team maybe a little more time because they actually went kind of above and beyond and created 2 separate posters for their project. So I want to be able to show both posters, and there's also a story map here. So there's a lot to look at. There's a lot to learn about. And I believe, yes, I have the right one first. So if Lori and Aiden want to unmute themselves. Yes. Okay.
Hello.
Hello. You can take it away.
All right, go for it, Aiden, and then you just let me know when you want me to jump in.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So I am Aiden Chernisky, and my partner is Lori Doss. Lori is a teacher at the Marvelwood School, and I'm a freshman. The objective of our project was to document the bat species found in our town of Kent, Connecticut, particularly near Kent Land Trust properties, via mobile and stationary acoustic surveys. Over the summer, the Connecticut DEP also asked us to volunteer our time for their acoustic monitoring surveys in the Kent to New Fairfield transect, which is like a distance where we drive and we record the audio. We also reached out to wildlife rehabilitators in our area, and they asked us to photograph bats that they had and were rehabbing. So it evolved into a photographing. We were able to photograph an unknown bat, and our pictures helped identify what it was.
And Aiden, if I could jump in here, that's why our project expanded a little bit, because we originally were just going to focus on the research, and then these other requests came in, so we tried to incorporate that in the project as well. So,
yep.
Right, it really grew, right, from your original, yeah.
Yep.
And then, since we found so many of the species of bats in Connecticut, we contributed our data to the National Diversity Database, because our area isn't surveyed very much. And that's one of the main reasons we were asked to survey for the state as well. And then another one of our overall goals was to raise awareness about the bat species in our area and their importance.
I'm going to just point out again to folks, I'm pretty sure there should be a little panel kind of on the left side of the screen that I'm sharing with you, so that you can zoom in to the poster that you see, to help you read some of the text and kind of move around, pan around. From this project specifically, Aiden, you want to state any major takeaways that you had?
Our project, we really realized how important bats are, and we're kind of going to explain that in all of our research.
And I think the other takeaway we had was just how understudied, the land trust properties, as Aiden said, bats are here in Connecticut, and it's sort of important to make sure, as land trusts, what organisms are usually in the property in case you're going to do any management plans, because you really don't want to have a best intention plan to go and do some type of habitat management, but you have a certain species here that might be protected and might not be the best management plan. So I think Aiden wasn't really all about getting baselines here too, and realizing that there still needs to be more. Okay.
Because am I correct that all of the bats in Connecticut are at least special concern, or is it specific?
I think so, or at least most.
All of them are either a special concern, except for I think the big brown bat, right?
Yep. Laura is confirming
that's what Laura is saying.
in the chat. Yep. She's our resident bat expert, so yeah.
And the 2 are endangered at the state level, and one of the 2 is also federally and state endangered.
You want to speak to the technology that you used? You mentioned acoustic surveys.
Yep, so acoustic surveys with a personal monitor that we have, the Ecometer Touch 2 Pro. It's a little device that we have a little antenna so we can stick it to the top of the car, and then we have a wire that runs in and attaches to either an iPad or it can attach to an iPhone with an app, and it records bats.
And it,
So we used that, and then when we did the DEP surveys, they gave us a computer and a heavy duty one
Oh.
that we used for theirs.
And then Aiden, how did we verify what bat species? Because you had to be careful, right? That we couldn't just assume just because something popped up, it was that species, right? So what did we do?
So our personal monitor, which we have the pro version for, the app auto identifies when it initially hears the sound. But just to be sure, we also have the program Sonobat to help us verify. And we run the sound clips through Sonobat.
And there are examples on the left of the poster of, you want to elaborate on those, Aiden? Those.
Yeah, so on the left of the poster, you can see the top 4 pictures are examples of what the app shows us and its identifications. And then the bottom example is running it through Sonobat and verifying our data.
was that time consuming in order to analyze those recordings?
Sonobat is a more simple program than some of the others, for example, like birds, like Raven,
Okay.
which we also work with at school. But Sonobat, it automatically identifies it, so you drop all the sound clips from the night into it, and then it automatically goes through them.
Oh,
And
It gives you a data sheet.
And in the story map, Aiden's made a little video that, maybe when we do the story map review, you might want to just click on that, show people a sample of that as you just sort of review through the story map.
oh, great. Okay.
Yep.
Laura did ask, did you find a big difference in how the different microphones perform?
Surprisingly, our little microphone compared significantly to the DEP one. When we did, when there were small sections of the DEP transect on flat roads that we could drive very slow on, we attached both, and we got similar results from both microphones.
And this was verified by Brian Hess of the Connecticut DEP. So we sent him our acoustic files, and and he compared them with the segments that were compatible, and it was very similar.
Great. All right. I'm going to show the other poster, which is the one that you made about your story map, right? And I love basically all of these images that shows the tech side of this, but then also the getting out to where you were actually sampling, and then the really cool part about the bat that you photographed and helped, right? You helped identify based on key features. Yeah. Did you want to mention that briefly? What you were able to
wait to that to the story map.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, good. But I think the one element I would like to add is that we realized in doing this project that it wasn't just about educating ourselves, right, Aiden? We have to be a responsibility to share what we find with others. And so before we go to the formal story map, and that was sort of the impetus behind that story map, the library had asked Aiden to do a program in April to the small children there over spring break, but that's delayed. But Nicole, if you could call up a few samples, because this one pertains to how we're going to educate children, and then we'll go into the formal story map for adults.
Okay.
So, and then Aiden, you can take it from there. Maybe do the first 3, 4, or 5 slides, and just give people a flavor.
Yep.
And what age group was this going to be, Aiden? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure it was targeted towards younger kids and at the library programs. I used to go to the library programs when I was little. So it was kind of cool for me because I would be going and presenting to a similar group to what I had experienced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this would be elementary, like lower
elementary schools, younger middle school kids.
Okay, I'm going to try hitting the present
All right, Aiden, you can take it away for the first 5 slides and yeah,
Okay, so
That's
you can
good.
see it.
So
All right.
there we go.
okay, so basically we wanted to make it fun for the kids, so we emphasized bats and how they are superheroes. So
Yeah.
bats, the real life superheroes of the night.
Okay.
And traveling the northwest corner in the real Batmobile. Bats often fly under the radar like superheroes do. We just don't know enough about them when it comes to public awareness. And we need to educate. Bats are the only mammal that can fly.
Yeah, maybe we'll do 2 more so you can sort of see. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So we started our project in the summer of 2019, and we went out at dusk and through the fall and recorded bats.
Wow, every 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yep. Our preferred method of transportation was our real life Batmobile,
And
which
what,
had all of our gear in it, our microphones, our signs for our surveys, so that people knew why we were driving slow.
I think 1 more slide and then we'll be good to transfer
Okay.
to the adults.
So in Batmobile, we used our technology. On the left, you can see right in the center console is the iPad with our monitor hooked up, and then on my lap is the computer that the DEP gave us for their survey.
Oh, that's fantastic. So this was geared towards, you were going to present this at the library to a
At the
younger crowd.
Memorial Library to a group
Okay.
of younger kids.
I hope you get to reschedule because I think they
Yeah.
would really get a lot out of this. All right. I'm going to.
This is, you know, because we're also going to do the story map competition. So we're going to try and blend these slides in with the formal map stuff in a fun way too. You know, for sort of for the story map competition, you know, doing a different take on it.
Okay. All right. And the deadline for that was extended, I think, for the story map competition.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I saw an email that Carrie had sent. Okay. Dave asked if we could get a link. Not yet to the story map. It's not totally finished yet, so right, a link will be made public.
You mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, if you they could, if he wants, does he want to look at the story map? He's while the presentation's going on? Is that the question from Dave?
I'll let him.
Because
Yes.
it is public. If you want to just share that now, because we'll just make it
Okay.
public afterwards.
Yep.
So you could just share that now so he could follow along with it.
Okay.
They might be able to see it a little better because we'll just turn it off when we're done because we've got to wait for Linda Bowen to proof things to make sure we got the bat stuff right.
And to answer Tyler in the comments, the most time-consuming part of this project was collecting the data and compiling the data into a form that is ready to present, something that everyone can understand.
Okay. All right, Aiden, do you want to continue and just, you know, with the story map, we're just going to take you through a quick general thing for about 2 or 3 minutes, not reading anything, just sort of showing you the flavor of it and some of the maps and some things he's done and ways to try and blend our research with the education component. So go ahead, Aiden.
On the road again, our journey to learn about Connecticut and educate others about the information we discovered.
All right. And just tell me when I need to click something.
Yep, so on the left, that's before our survey. We're parked at a gas station in Kent, putting the monitor on the roof, and on the right is, again, a picture of the iPad center console for our survey, and then the DEP computer.
And Aiden, doesn't it show the comparison, right? So Laura wanted to know how we compare shared. It was real time, and we could also see in real time, we would get the same wave spectrograms on both computers. So
Yeah, it was really cool to see the spectrogram pop up on both computers at the same time, knowing that we were getting the same stuff on both. Yeah,
Next.
you can. Yep.
you can go again. Yeah. That's just the introduction right there.
Okay.
So I'll do that. But you want to
Yeah.
explain about the bat photo, Aiden?
So on the left is a picture that we took at a rehabilitator's house. She was rehabilitating the bat so that it could be released, and it did end up getting released. We got some cool pictures of that too.
It's the big brown bat, right, Aiden?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Go ahead.
All right.
This section focuses on the ecosystems that the bats help with, including pest control and disease control.
Mhm. And then
We explained why the bat populations are in jeopardy.
And I think we identified what were the threats we identified, Aiden? The main threats for the New England?
One of the biggest threats was the white-nosed fungus. It's really spreading throughout. This map on the left shows where it came from the north. It kind of spread down. The outlined town on the very upper left corner is where the first confirmed case was. And the key helps us see how it moved over time.
where's the map from?
This was a map that we found. We were looking for range maps that we could find for the white-nosed fungus, and this
Okay.
was one of the only ones we could find, actually,
I have to
because
say, Aiden
the
was
bats
very
haven't been documented.
Aiden was very resourceful in finding these things, and then once you found them, figuring out how to download them. You'll see with the habitat range maps from the IUCN too, how to get them into the story map.
Okay.
It yielded the technology there to him. So, okay, you can go.
Habitat.
The second issue is habitat issues, including habitat loss and fragmentation. Then wind farms are actually a big problem for the bats. They tend to interfere with their the tissues in their body, or just in general hit them.
Oh.
And just so you know, you can keep going there a second, Nicole. With the photos, we also invested our money and got a subscription to the Mona Lisa organization, in which if others are doing projects, it allowed us to get 20 free photos to use in our story map, which was nice.
Oh, great.
Yep. So those photos helped out a lot, covering the areas we couldn't photograph.
Yep.
Another issue is climate change and the new climate patterns. Just how it's changing.
Yeah, we were looking for a non-static map for that section, but we couldn't find one, but we'll keep looking.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And then the fifth issue is just reproductive issues, and bats don't reproduce, like they have 1 to 2 young a year, so it's very slow and it makes it hard for their populations to keep up.
Okay.
This section kind of focuses on misunderstandings with bats.
Yep.
A lot of people don't understand bats a lot, and there's a lot of myths behind bats, including ones like bats are blind, bats are flying rodents. They actually aren't, they're just mammals. They're closer related to humans than rodents, in fact.
That's a great
And
graphic.
bats will suck blood. They don't. Only vampire bats in South America do, and they rarely go after living. They don't bite, they kind of just lick it off of things. They don't bite.
And one thing we thought about adding, you can go on and we'll show a few of these, was that with the coronavirus and bats now, people are just blaming bats, and we want to maybe put an element in there to help them realize, really it's humans and habitat destruction and the wildlife trade that's
And
bringing
how
these,
humans are interacting with bats.
right, and how it's bringing the viruses into areas where they've normally existed for hundreds of years. But when you start bringing animals into the wildlife trade who might have been exposed to bat guano or saliva, or you destroy their habitat, then that opens up another issue there. So we wanted, maybe Ada and I talked about that, trying to incorporate that. Ada, why don't you just show maybe 2 of the range maps, maybe show the eastern red bat and maybe the northern long-eared bat,
And I
Nicole?
just
Sure.
click right here?
Yep, you can just click right there
Oh, wow.
on the range map. These come from the IUCN. It had a whole bunch of information about the species. It had the range maps, which I was able to download.
And then
Um,
import it into ArcGIS?
And then convert it and then import it and
Okay.
all that.
Which other species?
Maybe the northern long-eared or the tricolored. Which one, Aiden? You want to do the tricolored or the?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh, that's
In
cool.
this section, so all of the species that are highlighted blue, if you click the name of the bat, it shows pictures. All the ones
Oh.
that are blue are pictures we took.
Okay.
All the ones that are white come from Merlin Tuttle.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Great. Excellent.
Fantastic. I just want to remind people, if they have questions along the way, you can type it in the chat box, and I'll see those, and we can get them asked.
And Nicole, you could probably go through these sections kind of fast because we talked about that already. So you could just
Okay.
section and
Oh, yeah, the technology.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
We learned an important lesson about layers. What did we learn, Aiden?
Don't try to upload them all at once.
That was the state transect that we did.
Oh, okay. That's where you would drive then.
Yes.
Yep, we would
Oh.
drive from Kent all the way down to New Fairfield, driving about 20 miles an hour, sometimes slower.
Wow.
And you'd
Okay.
reverse the start and finish. All right, Aiden, why don't we just quickly talk about Linda and our experience with her.
So we were contacted to photograph a bat. They did not know what the bat was, so we also brought our equipment, and we got some recordings, and between our recordings and our pictures, we sent them all into the state, and they were able to identify from the tragus, which is the pointy part in the ear, what type of bat it was. That was
This
basically
part
the key. Yep,
here?
that was basically the key characteristic of the northern long-eared bat, is that long tragus, the long pointy tragus in the ear.
All right. And that was pretty significant find, right?
Yep, it was big, and we were also able to photograph it, which was really cool.
Right. Right.
So you needed almost a micro lens to get there to be able to see some of the detail, and that's what the longer, the macro lens allowed us to do. And the tricolored bat that you just saw, that was a bat that the wildlife rehabber suspected was a tricolored, but she needed to confirm it with pictures, so we were able to use our photography there. Aiden interviewed a wildlife rehabilitator, and he has videos here.
Okay.
You don't have to listen to those, but we want to scroll just quickly to the sonobat. If you can keep going down there.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Oh, reflections on. I could go up a little bit to where we did the survey.
Yep. Is this
and we'll just play a clip of that, and then we'll take questions, I think, Aiden. Does that sound good? And talk about the future.
Yeah, sounds good.
Is there a video of this part that you wanted?
Keep going up more.
Oh, sorry.
Got to go back to further up into the story map. A little bit more. What color is it? Is it orange or pink, Aiden?
I don't think
Going up.
think it's pink. I think it's
here we go.
orange.
Here we go.
Found it.
Yeah.
We'll just, if you could play like maybe a 30-second clip.
All right.
I don't know if they may not be able to hear it. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think we're hearing
Oh,
audio.
I
But
can hear it.
Yeah, but it goes through and it shows you the steps and everything there.
And the music is actually really great. I wish everybody else could hear it.
Aiden's got to show me how to do that. Did you use Camtasia, right? Is that what you?
Yep.
Yeah.
So the program we used is Camtasia. It's probably the best screen recording software I have seen.
And where will this be accessible to other people?
It'll be your link, right?
Yeah, it'll be linked in the story map. I'm pretty sure it's also found on YouTube. That's how we put it in.
Oh, okay.
It should be ready in another week too. I'm sending this to Linda to proofread, so this one should be ready for everybody to enjoy in another week. Aiden, what was the biggest challenge to this project?
Keeping everything organized is a challenge. There's a lot of data. We going out every 2 weeks and recording lots of different stations. You get a lot of data, so that there's a lot of Google Drive folders for everything.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, we also want to thank, the Kent Land Trust for allowing us to do this, and the Kent Conservation Commission, who is the one that was going to sponsor, or who is the one sponsoring the talk at the library. And they're even because of Aiden's efforts, they're buying a book about bats, a children's book, to help further educate people who may, miss the presentation, or who might want to just learn about bats, which is really nice.
Oh, that's wonderful. And then, yeah, Laura had asked next steps, for future research based off of this. Do you think you'll continue helping with state surveys?
Maybe not state surveys in general, but definitely contributing what we have and our knowledge to the state.
Mm-hmm.
And the other
state surveys took a lot of time.
Well,
It
took a
was.
lot of time because I'm a bird bander, so I have to be on. And so maybe we'll do this Help the State in like August, September, but
Yeah.
July, it made for some interesting sleepless periods there. When I'm getting back from the bat survey at 12:30 and I've got to be in the field at 5. So
Wow.
I think the other thing we realized is, we were just doing these mobile sites and we had a challenge with, Yahoos and stuff at some of them. We'd like to get some stationary recorders and put some passive acoustic recorders in different areas of the preserve that are further off the road, just to see what's going on. Because when we were at the Tobin Preserve, remember that one time, it was before it was even supposed to start, but we just had it on for fun.
Yeah.
And it was just like all these eastern red bats and, everything just came out. It was crazy.
It blew up before the survey, and then during the survey, we got nothing.
Oh.
So we also realized that timing, there's
Timing is everything.
timings, but it just depends, I guess, maybe where you are in the forest or something.
Right. One last question. During your research, what did you find most interesting and or surprising?
I was surprised by the number of bats we found and how active it was during certain times. And then as we got later into the season, it definitely slowed down. But towards the beginning, it was just an explosion of bats.
And I think for me is trying to tame that excitement you get when, your bat meter says you have an endangered species, but some of these calls can be kind of similar. And even Sonobat has a hard time differentiating between the two because that's just the nature of the beast. And so just, really, especially with this, and because the bats are either threatened or special concern or endangered, is if you're going to do this research, taking the time to get your data verified, not just going out there and saying you have this bat when in reality, maybe you don't. And while we were right on most of the times, there were a few little brown bats we thought we had, but they proved not to be little brown bats.
Okay.
That was important.
Just a question about software that people can use at home.
Well, wouldn't that be getting we have the Echometer Touch Pro, which is a little more expensive, I think $399. And in our story map, Aiden links these things to the Wildlife Acoustics website, but there is a sort of like a hobby model for about $170 that people could buy. They can plug it into their phone and download the app from Wildlife Acoustics for the Echometer and download that, and they can just monitor the bats there and get a general idea. Aiden used it when he went up to Maine.
Yeah.
Okay. I think just in the interest of time, we could probably all listen to this for another hour. But I will probably move us on to the next project. Again, thank you so much for coming and sharing this. And can you keep us informed about the library presentation if that gets rescheduled? Because we could promote
Yep.
that on our social media and stuff as well.
Wonderful. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay.